Well, it's the afternoon at Scotch College, so in British style we're having tea rather than coffee. And I'm taking tea with the wonderful Richard Turner, who is the founder of Zen Energy here in South Australia, one of our major companies and a really good news story in so many ways. Richard, you're a parent at the school here. Tell us a bit more about your family to begin with.
Okay, so family, I was born in Adelaide, grew up in Adelaide. I actually went to Prince Alfred College here, so a single-sex education as opposed to Scotch. Met my lovely wife, Sarah, who is an old Scotch collegian, hence the Scotch connection, and we have two beautiful young daughters that Sarah encouraged me to come and have a look at Scotch, and I've got to say I was extremely impressed with the diversity that Scotch offered. Beyond school, I went to the University of South Australia and did a Bachelor of Business in Administration and majored in Marketing.
Is entrepreneurship in your blood? Is it an obsession? Do you think about it day and night?
Yes, I grew up in a very entrepreneurial family. So my father founded a few companies in the wholesale meat industry. So he founded a company called Holbrook Meats back in the 1960s actually. It was initially Direct Meats and then changed its name to Holbrook Meats, which is an old family name, so my middle name is Holbrook.
Great.
And then there was an export division of that founded, which was Turner and Rowe, or TNR Pastoral, which was quite a famous South Australian company that then when Dad retired, the company went public. Chris Thomas bought into that company and it became Thomas and Rowe, and then became Thomas Foods.
Yes, a very big company in South Australia. Absolutely. Well, that's a great segue into how Zen started, because that sounds fascinating that it was something that came to you in an unusual way, but I suppose that's how many ideas come. Tell us more about that experience.
Yeah, look, all companies, I think all great companies start from the dining room table. It's all about timing and opportunity with companies, and literally one night we were playing with the children, the sun was going down, and they wanted to put a small light and a TV in the cubby house, and there was no power at the back of the yard, and we thought, oh, well, let's go down to the local hobby shop. And this is way before there was any solar industry or solar companies to the extent there are now. And we went down, and the chap that was helping us wrote Ohm's law on the whiteboard in the hobby shop, which was, you know, watts equals volts times amps. And we got a little solar panel, and we got a regulator and a battery and an inverter and some switching and cables, and we put this little 12-volt system together, and it was great. It worked fine and did the job. And then I stood back and put my marketing and business hat on, and I thought, well, there's no technical barriers to this, to running a whole home. And there was no kit, there was no brand, there was no system, and I thought, well, here's an opportunity. We were just seeing the first stories in the paper about climate change. John Howard was just talking about renewable energy, just starting to, and talking about the first incentives coming on board back in 2006, even though this was in 2004, but there was discussion about it. And my father-in-law was a senior electrician, and I started doing research on who we thought were the best component manufacturers of this technology around the world, and we found a German company and a Chinese company, and we got them talking together, and we developed what I called the Zen Home Energy System. And don't forget, solar energy back then was really in the realms of weird science. No one really understood it. So we thought, well, let's make a system that is a branded system, that is just one system, so people didn't have to think about the technology. It was just a system that powered from a quarter of the average home to all of the average home, and they just chose what size system they want, and the people loved it. And
amazing.
By 2010, we were the fastest growing company in the state for 2 consecutive years, and by 2012, we were the fastest growing, or 4th fastest growing company in the country.
That's extraordinary. I don't see electrical engineer in your degree.
No.
But you put all that together because of your native knowledge and understanding of how these things work with your child.
At school, I loved gadgets, and I did physics and economics and maths 1 and 2 when I was at school, and just enjoy gadgets and putting things together. So I guess that was enough to get it to that point. Pretty important.
Did you start with a panel which just generated electricity in the here and now, or did you also start with storage?
No, we started actually with the Cubby House. We had a 12-volt car battery attached to it. So it was actually, so the vision from very early on was about total independence, energy independence.
So you were there before Elon Musk and his enormous great battery in South Australia.
A long way before Elon Musk, but funnily enough, we're actually building a bigger battery than Elon Musk in the old Port Augusta power station.
Now, come on, tell us about that, because that sounds really exciting.
Yeah, so that's about the progression of our industry, or progression of our company. So we're really evolving now into being the country's next significant power generator and retailer. So a bit like an AGL or an Origin, but we'll be the company that never got into coal, not the company that's getting out of coal for the next 30 years.
Right. So with that in mind, I've asked you to prepare this answer, but what is the killer stats or the killer arguments or illustration that you use to really nail home how important Zen Energy is and solar energy is for the country or for the world?
Yeah. We have an enormous economic opportunity in South Australia simply because we have the absolute best renewable energy resource in the world. Quite a remarkable statistic. But as we transition to a renewable energy or a low carbon economy, we go from bottom of the table to very top of the table. Now, we were very fortunate. We had Christiana Figueres visit us just in the last 18 months or so, who headed up the Paris Climate Change Agreement. And we were fortunately the only commercial company she visited while she was in Australia.
Extraordinary, yes.
And we sat in the boardroom and she leaned over and said, you have such a responsibility here in South Australia because you have the very best renewable energy resource in the world. You have the best wind, the best solar, the best tidal, the best geology for pumped hydro and other technologies. You have the highest cost of power in the world. You have the opportunity to make the biggest change to your economy and develop the business models that we need because the rest of the world needs it. So no pressure, but get on and do the job, and we need to make that happen here in South Australia.
It's for all those reasons that you've just given, the vision, the possibilities, the link to real world issues, and the way it'll impact on the state, the country and the world. It's the reason why I've asked you to be in this interview today. I think it's an exciting business to be in. It's a regular item on the news, is energy and how we pay for it, how much it costs, where it's coming from. And it's something that I think our young people, who hopefully will watch this video and be inspired by what you said, they'll be involved in industries like this in the future. A very strong message to our school is that young Australians are the potential problem solvers of global issues, not just local issues. And therefore you've helped us very much frame that in our conversation very much. Thank you, Richard. That's been a terrific experience for us. Last question for me though, there is a hidden talent that I hear about from Sarah, your wife, that you can pick up just about any instrument and play it, and you fancy getting back on the road again at some point. Tell us a bit more about that ambition.
Look, I learnt drums and piano when I was young, and taught myself guitar, and I had some band members who taught me guitar and bass. And look, I just love playing instruments. I used to love writing music and arranging music and recording and layering music, and
beautiful.
Always played in bands. I'm a tragic from the 1980s, and I can't get past that, unfortunately. But just love playing in bands, playing music and trying to get things happening again.
But surely that musical ability, creativity, pulling sounds together is what you do. It's a metaphor, isn't it, for what you do in your business to some extent? I guess you have to be creative and innovative in what you do, and think about how different instruments and different sounds contribute to that experience. I guess that's part of what you do in a way.
I think music and the arts helps your mind think differently, and I think that's just such an important thing.
Great. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk with you today, Richard. Thank you for taking the time out of a busy schedule to talk with us. We hope next time we talk to the Prime Minister that you have even more impact. And hey, all the best with a fantastic company, and we look forward to all those benefits you've talked about. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. John.
Great to see you. Great.